Hello everyone and welcome to episode 42 of our game dev tutorials. Today we're going to be going over sound effects finally, and we're going to be doing some adding to our sound control class. But first, make sure you hit that like button if you're enjoying these videos, and if you haven't subscribed by now, please do so. If you haven't rung the bell, please do so. It'll help you get a hold of the new videos right as they come out. Alright, let's take a look at what we're going to do today. So we are going to add a bunch of sound effects, again all from Dell and RTD, but that'll give us something to test with. Again, they're all 16-bit wave files. I've been getting questions about using other file types. You know what, I only use 16-bit wave files. That's for a long time the only thing that worked with XNA/Monogame. XNA came before Monogame, for those that don't know. So that's what I use. Yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about it. When it comes to MP3s and whatnot, and I've never used them. I have never needed to use them. I can make any file into a 16-bit wave file, so I've never really fought with it. I have heard that there's a way to get MP3s in, but it has never been worth my time to do. Okay, we're going to make the background, we're going to add sound item. Sound item is just like one encapsulated sound. Then we are going to make the background music a sound item. Boy, could remove that space, but that's alright. Then we're going to add a list of sound items to sound control, and we are going to add all the code, connect it all up. That should be a 6. But and then we're going to test it. So yeah, that's what we're doing for today. Alright, so first things first, let's add all of those sounds, which I gotta grab real fast. Keep all of these things together. It's a projectiles folder. Alright, so let's come in here, audio. We're going to add sounds. And then I've got to go through that. They're all in projectiles because that's really all I did for my first game. Select them all. Content copy if newer. We're only going to use 2 of these for today. We're going to use Earth Shoot and Earth Hit. But there's a bunch here. I figured if I was giving you those 2, I might as well give you guys all of them. They are not great sounds. This is my first attempt at making sounds. And, but you're free to use them however you want. Nonetheless, anything from Dell and RTD is fair game, guys. So, keep that in mind. Okay, so that's our sound. I will definitely have those linked in the description for you guys. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. It's enough for you guys to get started. Even if the sounds don't make sense for your game, at least you'll have a sound in place for certain objects or certain actions or certain whatevers. So you can just use them as temp sounds. Alright, so next step, we are going to add sound item. So let's come down in here, and we have our sound control right here in output. We are going to add sound control as the folder. Control. There we go. Jeez. Okay, and then new item, and this is sound item. So sound item. Add. Okay, and then let's clean out all this. Public. Oh, I see. Okay, and then grab our includes. We're gonna need sound control, so we'll make sure we get that over there. Might as well pin these puppies. Okay, so what is sound item? Well, first of all, a hint is everything that we put in before to make our sound run. That's a starting place to be at. And then the other piece that we're going to have is a string for name. And then that will become apparent very soon. I do this with all kinds of control structures. I find it programming wise, very nice to be able to call something by its name. So, for instance, I will name these two sound effects shoot and hit. And so then I can go in and just call them by name. I don't have to remember the name of the file. I don't have to remember the path. I don't have to remember where I created it at. I don't have to remember anything. All I have to do programmatically is say, globals.soundcontrol.play sound name. So shoot, hit. Done. And so that's what we're going for. Is it the most efficient way to do it? No, it's not. It would be better to have an individual instance of each object in each area, of each sound in each area, and call that specific one rather than doing this quick search. Now, because you could have 100 or 200 sounds, and you are going to be looping through them to find it. You could sort that, and you could then, be looping through, log in of that. But, and I recommend that, by the way. I'm not going to do that here. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on that, of implementing a, in this case it would be merge sort and merge search. I am definitely considering it, but for now, that's what name's for. I wanted to go over that, and you'll see it in effect in a little bit. So let's get our constructor in. Well, let's get rid of this. Okay, let's get our constructor in. So that's public sound item, and our sound item is going to take in 3 of these. We don't need to take an instance. So string name, we have string sound path, and we have float volume. Okay. All right. So we have those. Let's assign them. Name equals name. Volume equals volume. Remember, that's the volume for the specific instance. That way you can try to normalize the volumes if they come out from your sound engineer or from the internet slightly imbalanced, or even substantially imbalanced. So you can raise the volume and lower the volume of specific sound effects, while not having to mess with the global volumes in order to do it. So that's what that's for. So please keep that in mind. All right, and then we have sound. So sound equals globals.content.load. Really, we could probably just grab it from here, huh? This puppy right here. So let's do that, and then this is just going to be sound path instead of that. We can probably grab these things here. We already have volume dealt with, so we'll do this one. But we're not going to do this here. We are actually going to create a function for that. Public virtual void create create instance. And then we're going to take that, put it in here, and then we're going to do this here. Okay, and you'll see why in a minute. Alright, so for the purposes of this tutorial, this is all that sound item is. So we now need to look at what we're doing with sound control to make this all work. We also need to, I should have done this first, we need to turn our background music into a sound item. So let's do that now before we go any further. Okay, so we have our sound item. Oh, you know what, to be honest, I had to finish the sound item before I did this. I just in my mind had it backwards. Alright, public sound item BKG music, and then we are going to need to create that down here. So BKG music equals new sound item, and then our name is just going to be whatever we want. We're not really using this part. But if you want different background musics, you could actually have a list of your background musics. and then you can switch them, which I do in most games. But for this purpose, we're not going to have that. So, all right, and then we have music path here, and we have the volume that we set was 25 F. All right, so now we don't need this. We don't need this. And this is .create instance. Okay, so we got rid of all that. So this stuff, as we delete it, we're going to, because we don't need this stuff anymore, this is all going to kind of go nuts, which is fine. So we don't need this anymore because that's all taken care of in here. This here is just BKG music dot instance, right? No big deal. Very simple stuff. Okay, and then when we come down here, it is just BKG dot instance again, and everything else is correct. Okay, so we've now changed over our BKG music. You can encapsulate this separately and make it a little bit prettier, but this is what we need. This will work. And just to make sure, let's test it. Why not? Doesn't hurt to test things. And you can hear the sound playing right now. So, good. That was all we're looking for. All of that works. And we have our background sound instance. So next we want to do a public list sound item sounds equals new list sound item. Okay, so our goal now is going to be to create a list of sounds that we can call as needed. To do that, we want to be able to add a sound to our list. So let's start with that. Public virtual void add sound, and then in here we are going to feed in the same things that you need to create a sound item. So if you just jump here and go like this, now the reason this has a function is so that if you want to do more than just add the sound, like there's something you need to do with it, like maybe you only add sounds when you want to play the sound, maybe you want to edit other structures that you've created to help you control this sound better, like some kind of sound limiter which only allows a certain amount of sounds to go at a time, or something to that extent, then it would be nice to have this function to be able to do that in. So we're going to do it the right way and do sounds dot add, and then here we're just going to do new sound item and name sound path volume. In a polished engine, this would absolutely be at the very least protected and or private. It would not be public, because you don't want to be calling these sounds by themselves. You want to be doing it through this sound control. That's the whole point of the sound control. The sound control, as I stated last time, is like a structure that deals with all sounds, just like the mouse. The mouse class is an area that you deal with all your mouse stuff, and your keyboard class is an area you do with all your keyboard stuff. And if you're writing stuff outside of it, maybe you need to start thinking about wrapping those things back into it as you get working stuff. So this is our area for all of our sounds. We need to be running all of our sounds through here. If you don't, then you're going to be leaving yourself open to kind of spaghetti code going all over the place. So don't call this by itself. I'm not going to change this, but for this purpose, understand this is a good instance of public or private. Public versus private, I should say. Okay, let's move on. So we got our sounds adding. The next thing we need to do is we need to be able to play these sounds. So let's go over what we need to do to play them. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to tell it the name of the thing we want to play, and we want to play the sound associated with that name. So how do we do that? Well, for now, we're going to do a simple loop, but we're going to create a function first. So public virtual void play sound. And then there, we're going to pass a string name. Okay, and then so we're going to have our loop. We're going to I equals 0, I less than sounds dot count I plus plus. Now, again, this is a loop which loops n times, right? N being the count, right? Loops for the count. This will work great for small games, and you won't even need to worry about it. But if you start having hundreds of sounds in your games, then you're going to need to switch this out for a merge sort. Well, you're going to need to sort it, which you would have to do in like an update function or whatever. And then you're going to need to search it with the login version. So the sort would be in login, and the insert would be in login, and the search would be login. Okay, cool. In here, we're going to say if sounds I dot name equals name. Okay, so if the name we passed in is equal to sounds name, which we create here, then we are going to do our next function, which our next function is running the sound. So public, and I have these separate for a reason. Public virtual void run sound. Okay, and then here we're going to pass in the sound effect. We are going to pass in the instance. Oh, sound effect instance, I'm sorry. Instance, there we go. And then we're going to pass in the float volume. This function will most likely be overridden or edited for different games, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Well, I'll just explain it now. Let's say that you want sounds around the edge outside of your screen to be quieter than the sounds in the middle of your screen, or if you have a gunshot that's way off on the right of your screen, like in a first-person shooter, then it sounds in a certain speaker. Well, you can control all of that here. I'm not going to go into it today, but this is where you would control how you want your sound to be run. So you'll either override this or make a special function for it for each game that you make, because the sound would probably be a little different. All right, so one thing we're going to need to do for sure is we need to get our volume, our global volume, which we do here, and we're going to call it sound volume. Sound volume. I'm pretty sure this is just sound volume. I guess we better check just to make sure that we're getting it right in our options, which we made just the other day. We have sound volume, so let me just copy paste it just in case. I don't want any bugs there. Okay, so we have our sound volume. Need to copy this through because it's a different name, and then this one is also going to change. Sound volume. Sound volume. Okay, so we now have how loud our volume should be globally, and then we'll mix that with our total volume. So we have instance dot volume equals sound volume percent times volume, and then we have instance dot play. Oh, oops. PL. There we go. Okay, now there is a bug here on purpose, and I want to leave it here so that you can hear why it's different. Because you may choose to leave it here. I shouldn't say bug. There is something that it may not run the way you think it's going to run, but you actually may want it because running sounds is a little hard on your system. All right, so let's link these up. Let's get in the test code and let's run it. and then you'll see, and then we'll come back here, and then I will show you how to edit it to work the way you probably think it's going to want to work. But this is a programming thing. It has to do with only having one instance. So there are lots of ways to solve that, but I will show you a way to solve it later. So stick with me. Sounds dot instance and sounds I dot volume. Okay, so that's calling that. Everything is linked up properly here. So now we have a more powerful sound control. We have sound items to keep our stuff sorted out, and we are going to add these sounds to the game. So let's do exactly that. Let's come down here into load content. Right after we create our sound control, say globals.soundcontrol.add sound, and then in here we're going to add shoot, and then we're going to add our path, and then let's start with this sound, and if it's too quiet we'll raise it. Alright, our path, audio, sounds, projectiles, and then I was using the earth ones. So earth shoot, earth hit. So let's do that. Audio, sounds, projectiles, and then earth shoot. Let's take this, let's copy it, do hit, and this is just earth hit. Okay, so we have our test sounds created. Our sound control was already creating, which is wonderful. Now we need to go into hero. I'm pretty sure that's where we make our projectiles. Where do we make our projectiles? There we go. And right before or after doesn't matter. There's going to be absolutely no difference between the two. I'm going to add it after in this case. Globals.soundcontrol.play sound, and then we give it shoot, right? Because shoot is what we have there, and this is why it's powerful. I just had to remember what it was named, which to me is much easier than remembering the path or remembering all the other kinds of things. And if I'm ever questioning what it was, I know where to find them. They're created. I typically load my sounds during load time of a game. I've never had so many it was an issue, but I guess if I did, then I'd load the essential ones and then I'd put them in a load loop, which would be a thread to load them. But anyway, not important. Come through, we've done this, and in hero we have that, and then in projectile, so let's go to projectile, which we'll get to this way. When it hits, so hit something, cool. Here's where it hits, so we say globals.soundcontrol.play sound, and then this is just hit. Okay, now when we test this, remember, it may not work the way you think it is going to. It will work, right? So you can hear that, it's shooting. Okay, this is shooting one at a time. Now here's when it's going to act a little funny. See how the shoot sound is not playing for every shot? It's only playing when it's finished. Now, if you're making a mobile game, that can be a very good thing because sound is actually a little bit hard on your processor. Okay? So keep that in mind. So what, you're hearing about 1 every 3 is shooting? Okay. Alright, so the fix to that, to get it to actually fire each and every time, we need to recreate a sound instance. So, if we come into our sound control, and we want to create a new instance each time, we can either do it here or we can do it in here. For right now, we'll just do it here. That'll give you the ability to run it by itself by using this function, and if you use this function by itself, but we can have 2 versions of this and you can even have like a bool to reset it with. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to reset it each and every time right now. And to do that, we are going to use this function we created here, and that's why we created it. So sounds I dot create instance right there. Now when we run this, when we play it, you can hear it actually each and every time it's run, it reruns that instance. Okay? So that will give you both options, and you'll know how to do both now. I wouldn't say one is right or wrong. I think this is what most users are going to expect is the way it is right now. But if you're running a mobile game, you might consider waiting for each sound to finish, or having some certain subset of instances. So maybe you have like 3 instances in your sound thing. I don't know. Whatever you want to do, it may not be wise to allow your person to rapid fire stuff off. That's all I'm saying. I know I had to do that with RTD. I know that's a long time ago. I know mobile games are much stronger, but I had to limit sounds to about, I think it was 8 playing per time. So let's pretend for a second that mobile devices are about 8 times as strong. Well, that's still limiting it to 64, and I guarantee you at times I had more than 64 things making noises in RTD. So the growth of hardware gives you more leeway as always, but it's something you can definitely think about. Alright guys, that is the end of this video. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. It really does help to grow this community and helps you guys see the videos as they come out. Ring the bell if you want to see them right away. I would love that. It makes me very happy to see people viewing the video right away. Touches my heart. And then lastly guys, Patreon. If this is helping you guys out in any professional manner, or in a manner that you hope one day will be professional, definitely consider helping us out. So that way we can have art made for the channel and we can get things done. I have some art sent out. I don't know when it'll get back in. Unfortunately, I have a game coming. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, I have a game coming out in exactly 1 month. So March 22nd, put it on your calendar for RTD. But that means my artist is very, very busy. So I will get art made for the channel. It is turned into him, but he also knows he has to finish the stuff for the game first. So keep that in mind. Okay. Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Hope this helps. Talk to you guys later.